The screaming did not come from outside the house. It came from within. Low, muffled, broken. Like a human voice drowning behind thick concrete walls. And the smell. God help you if you ever smell it. A heavy metallic stench, blood, chemicals, and something rotting beyond explanation. This was not a slaughterhouse. This was a mansion in Emerald Hills, Lekoria, one of the most expensive private estates outside Lekoria city, a booming Nigerian metropolis where wealth spoke louder than truth. Before we go any further, my people, please like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss how this story unfolds. Trust me. Now sit tight, because what you are about to hear is not for the faint-hearted. The man who owned the house was called Dr. Leonard Adebola. To the world, he was perfection. Successful medical entrepreneur, tech investor, philanthropist, the kind of mothers prayed their daughters would marry. Online, women called him Uncle Leo with the golden hat. Offline, churches called him God's vessel. Every December, he paid school fees for dozens of children in his hometown, Oduwara, a quiet Yoruba-speaking community tucked between red earth roads and old mango trees. Every Ramadan and Christmas, food trucks bearing his name fed the poor. On social media, his photos flooded timelines, tailored suits, luxury watches, quiet smiles, and captions about gratitude and blessings. Nobody questioned him. Why would they? But behind the high walls of Leonard Adebola's mansion, behind the electric gates and smiling security guards, girls were disappearing. Not missing, not kidnapped, erased. Leonard Adebola did not hunt on the streets. He hunted online. Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram. He knew exactly where to look. Girls scrolling at night, girls tired of struggling, girls who wanted more than the noise and dust of daily survival. He studied them like textbooks. Some wanted romance, some wanted money, some just wanted to be seen. To each one, he became what they needed. To Kemi, he was the soft-spoken mentor who promised business opportunities abroad. To Zainab, he was the generous uncle who sent money without asking for anything in return. To Rita, he was the dream man who spoke of marriage and destiny. Every chat followed the same rhythm. Late-night conversations, carefully timed compliments, subtle promises, then gifts. New phones, designer bags, perfumes that cost more than some people's yearly rent. Once trust was secured, he invited them over. Just dinner, he would say. My place is safe, very quiet, no wahala. And truly, once you entered Leonard Adebola's house, there was no wahala, because there was no escape. The drinks were always cold, the smiles always warm, but inside every glass was a clear, bitter liquid, odorless, tasteless, deadly. Minutes after drinking, their limbs would grow heavy, their tongues would thicken, the room would begin to spin. Some tried to stand, some tried to scream. None succeeded. That was when Leonard stopped pretending. No more soft voice, no more gentle laughter. He dragged them through a private corridor behind the mansion, past a wine cellar, past a locked steel door, into what he called the service quarters. But there was no service there. Only soundproof walls, chains bolted into concrete, and tables stained dark from old blood. Leonard worked with surgical precision. Organs removed, flesh separated, parts sealed in sterile nylon. Clients from outside the country paid heavily for special meat. No questions, no names. To Leonard, it was business. Cold, clean, profitable. And for years, it worked perfectly. Until Derin Ayo Ogun, known to her friends as Derin, crossed his path. Derin was different. A mass communication student at Lekoria State University, sharp-tongued, observant, and deeply grounded in faith. She grew up in a strict but loving Christian home where her mother repeated one sentence like scripture: "Not every open door is God's door." Leonard met her the same way he met the others, online. At first, she thought he was just another rich man bored with his money. He praised her intelligence, admired her discipline, offered support. Then the gifts came. Derin refused, politely, firmly. "No, sir, I'm fine." Leonard laughed it off. Then he offered money. She declined again. Then he invited her over. She said no. That single word, no, did something to him, because nobody ever said no to Leonard Adebola. Not once. And the timing could not have been worse. He had already promised a major overseas client a fresh shipment. Derin was supposed to be the centerpiece, but she didn't come. The order failed. Money was lost. And for the first time in years, Leonard's empire cracked. What started as irritation turned into obsession. Derin was no longer just a target. She was an insult, a problem that needed correction. Leonard adjusted his system. Instead of luring one girl at a time, he lured many. Promises of jobs, scholarships, marriage proposals. The mansion failed again. The cages failed again. And among them was Morenike Ajoke, a visibly pregnant woman Leonard met in Oduara during one of his charity visits. Her husband had abandoned her. 2 children waited for her back home. Leonard looked her in the eyes and said, "Don't worry, I've got you." She believed him. That belief cost her everything. Her cries became constant, day and night. And Leonard hated noise. He hated reminders that his victims were human. One night, he walked into the quarters. Morenike looked up at him, swollen eyes filled with tears. "God will judge you," she said weakly. "You won't escape." Leonard did not respond. He simply ended her life. Clean, fast, another order fulfilled, another soul erased. As he washed his hands that night, Leonard whispered a name like a curse. "Derin." And at that moment, his phone buzzed. A message from her. "Good evening, sir. I've been thinking." Leonard smiled. A slow, dangerous smile, because the hunt had finally resumed.
Leonard Adebola read Derin's message twice. Then, a third time. His fingers tightened around the phone, knuckles whitening, heart thudding not with love but with anticipation. For months, she had resisted him, outsmarted him, embarrassed him, cost him money. Now she was reaching out on her own. Also, it seemed. "Good evening, sir. I've been thinking." He exhaled slowly, schooling his face into calm even though no one was watching. Leonard knew patience. Patience was how he had survived this long. "I'm listening," he typed back. "Take your time." Derin stared at her screen in her hostel room, the glow reflecting in her tired eyes. Her roommates were asleep. The fan hummed weakly. Outside, a generator coughed into life somewhere down the street. She didn't trust Leonard. Not fully. But she was tired. Tired of struggling. Tired of people telling her she was too careful. Tired of her friends whispering that she was foolish for letting a good thing pass her by. And tired, too, of doubting herself. "Maybe I've been too harsh," she finally typed. "We can talk properly." Leonard smiled. Hook, line, almost sinker. The next few days passed in careful conversation. Leonard did not rush her. He did not mention his house. He did not send money. Instead, he spoke of values, of patience, of respect. He asked about her childhood, her dreams, her fears. Derin relaxed, just a little. Enough to agree to meet him, but on her terms. "Not your house," she said firmly during their call. "Public place, near my school." Leonard laughed softly. Of course, he replied. I wouldn't want you uncomfortable. Inside, irritation flickered, but it died quickly. He could wait. They met at a restaurant just outside the university gates. Leonard arrived first, dressed impeccably, charcoal suit, wristwatch gleaming, confidence worn like cologne. Students whispered as he took his seat. When Derin walked in, his chest tightened. Not with affection, with hunger. She was calm, observant, eyes always scanning. Dangerous. They talked, they ate. Leonard performed flawlessly. At some point, he leaned forward and said, You know, I'd like to meet your friends, people close to you. Derin hesitated, but the request seemed harmless. She called Sade and Nifemi, her roommates. Within the hour, the table was loud with laughter. Leonard paid for everything. He handed Sade and Nifemi envelopes of cash. Just for transport, he said. They accepted eagerly. Derin did not. When he slid an envelope toward her, she pushed it back. No, thank you. Leonard's smile remained, but inside, something dark coiled tighter. That night, her roommates would not stop talking. Derin, are you okay at all? Sade laughed. Do you know how many girls are praying for this kind of man? Nifemi nodded vigorously. He's not like these useless boys we know. He's serious. Derin lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. I don't like how money follows him everywhere, she said quietly. It feels loud. Sade scoffed. I beg, poverty is louder. The words lingered, and slowly, too slowly to notice, Derin's resolve weakened. Leonard intensified his efforts. Flowers, carefully worded messages, soft, steady pressure. He never raised his voice, never complained. Weeks later, Derin agreed to visit his house. Just once. Leonard almost laughed out loud when she said it. They fixed a date. The morning of the visit, Derin dressed simply. No makeup, no jewelry. She slung her bag over her shoulder and headed to the bus station. Leonard insisted on picking her up himself. As she waited, her phone rang. It was Sade. Derin, where are you? At the park. Why? There's a surprise test, oh. The lecturer just entered class. Derin's heart dropped. If she missed it, she could fail the course. She looked at the road, at the passing buses, at her phone. Duty won. She boarded the next bus back to campus. Leonard was already driving toward the park when she called him. I'm so sorry, she said breathlessly. I have to go back to school. Silence. Then Leonard's voice, calm, warm. It's okay, another time. But as he ended the call, rage exploded behind his eyes. Twice this girl had escaped him. He gripped the steering wheel, jaw clenched. You are testing me, but you won't escape forever. The next day, she showed up. This time, nothing interrupted them. Leonard's black SUV pulled into the park right on time. As they drove, Derin admired the quiet estates, the manicured lawns. Your area is beautiful, she said. Leonard smiled. You haven't seen anything. The mansion loomed ahead, tall walls, heavy gates, cameras blinking silently. Derin felt a strange chill, but she stepped inside. Leonard showed her around briefly. Then his phone rang. A client. Urgent, very urgent. He cursed inwardly. The money was too good to ignore. I have to step out, he told her. Please, make yourself comfortable. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow? Derin frowned but nodded. He left. The gates closed behind him. The silence settled. Too heavy, too deep. Derin wandered the house, unease crawling up her spine. Everything was too perfect, too clean. Then she heard it. A sound. Faint, broken. A whimper. She froze. It came again, from behind the house. Her heart pounded. Hello, she called. No answer. She followed the sound across the compound. The smell hit her first. Blood. Decay. Her stomach twisted. She reached a locked door. The cries were unmistakable now. Human. Desperate. Hands shaking, she found a metal rod nearby. She jammed it into the lock. Once. Twice. The door gave way. And the world shattered. Inside were women, chained, bruised, starving, blood-stained tools, wrapped body parts. A woman lifted her head weakly. "Help us," she whispered. Derin staggered back, bile rising. Then something stronger than fear took over. She untied them, dialed the police with trembling fingers. Sirens wailed minutes later. As officers stormed the compound, Derin collapsed onto the ground, shaking. One officer looked at her grimly. "If he comes back," he said, "we need you here." Derin swallowed hard and nodded.
Leonard Adebola drove back toward his mansion just as the sun began to rise. The early morning air was cool, quiet, the kind of calm that usually pleased him. Business had gone well, the client had been satisfied, money had changed hands. Everything was back on schedule. As his black SUV glided through the gates of Emerald Hills, Leonard smiled to himself. Finally, he thought, today I finish this. He parked, stepped out, adjusted his cufflinks, and inhaled deeply. The house looked normal. Too normal. No screams, no noise, no sign of disruption. Good. He walked in, whistling softly. "Derin," he called out sweetly. "My queen." No response. He frowned. Then he saw her. She sat on the couch, hands folded neatly in her lap, eyes fixed on the floor. Calm, still, waiting. Leonard's smile returned. "Did you miss me?" he asked, dropping his keys on the table. "I told you I'd be back." Derin looked up slowly. Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. "You came back earlier than I expected," she said. Leonard poured himself a drink, his movements relaxed. "I couldn't wait anymore," he replied, stepping closer. "You have no idea how long I've waited for this moment." He leaned in, voice lowering. "Finally, you are in my house, just like the others." Derin's breath caught. "The others?" she repeated softly. Leonard laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Oh, don't pretend," he said. "You think you are special? I've made fortunes from girls like you. Their bodies, their blood, everything has a price." He took a sip of his drink, eyes gleaming. "You've been disturbing my business, Derin, spoiling my plans, but tonight you will beg like the rest before I..." "End of the road, Leonard Adebola." The voice thundered through the room. Before Leonard could turn, armed police officers flooded in, guns raised, boots pounding against marble floors. "Hands where we can see them." Leonard spun, shock flashing across his face. Derin jumped up as he lunged toward her, gripping her wrist with brutal force. "You betrayed me," he roared. "If I go down, I'll take you with me." But the officers were faster. In seconds, Leonard was slammed to the ground, handcuffed, screaming, spitting curses. "You think this ends me?" he shouted wildly. "I should have cut you into pieces. You will regret this even in hell." Derin's legs gave way. She sank onto the couch, tears streaming freely now, not from fear, but release. "It's over," she whispered. "You can't hurt anyone anymore." The news broke before nightfall. Philanthropist turned serial killer arrested in Lekoria. The nation stood still. Media outlets camped outside the mansion. Survivors told their stories. Evidence poured out of the boys' quarters. Photos, tools, records of transactions. They called Leonard Adebola the flesh merchant. In court, he showed no remorse. He boasted about his wealth, his connections, his clients. Every word sealed his fate. The judge's gavel struck. "Leonard Kezim Adebola, you are hereby sentenced to death for murder, human trafficking, and crimes against humanity." Gasps filled the courtroom. Derin closed her eyes. Justice had spoken. The mansion was demolished months later. Nothing was left standing. The women Leonard imprisoned were rehabilitated, counseled, and given a chance to rebuild their lives. Some returned home, some started anew. And Derin, she returned to school, quietly, stronger, wiser. She never forgot the lesson. Evil does not always look evil. Sometimes it smiles, sometimes it gives gifts, sometimes it calls itself love. So my people, hear this well. Not all that glitters is gold. Beware of strangers bearing gifts. Trust your instincts, trust your values, because evil thrives in silence, but it dies in the light of courage. Please don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us reach more audiences and also helps more people hear the truth. Until next time, shine your eyes.